Welcome once again to Johnny D Talks to the Stars, and today a great star we have with us, the daughter of Bert Lahr. Who's Bert Lahr? The lion from The Wizard of Oz, of one of many acting roles that Bert had, and with us today is Jane. Hello Jane, how are you doing today?
Hello, John.
How did your dad get into show business?
When he was at school in New York City, in Yorkville, which was Germantown at the time, my dad was, by the way, born in 1895. So at that point, a lot of German immigrants had come to New York City. And actually, they made it very vibrant because they all loved musical theater and shows and entertainment. Dad was a young man going to school, and his teacher said to him, and he was a cut up, and his teacher said, Bert, you're either going to be in jail or you're going to be on the stage. And he ended up being on the stage. And he did that because at the time, vaudeville was very popular. And so a group of his friends got together and had a kids act. They did it in German dialect, and they did it on the streets of New York. And then they went and played for one of the people so they can get into vaudeville, an agent who could assist them getting into vaudeville, and they did. And so that was where he started. Around 16, he was already in vaudeville professionally performing for an audience.
Did he plan to pick acting as his role, or was there something else that he was interested in?
No, he was a comic. He was he was funny. So, and he was funny, sort of funny looking. So it was a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
And also, he was a young guy, and there were girls, in vaudeville, and he wanted to meet the girls. So it was like that.
Well, there you go. And he's a Tony Award winner, right? Correct?
Yes, later on, yes. Yeah. One of his last shows on Broadway was Foxy, and he won the Tony Award for that performance. And I was with him that night because Mother had gone to London to see, John was in school there, my brother, and Mom wasn't there, so I went to the Tony Award that night, and it was very exciting.
All the years in the movies and Broadway and everything, I know that obviously what stands out is the big thing is The Wizard of Oz.
When we saw it for the first time. It was made in '38, and it was filmed. It opened in August of '49. A month before Hitler invaded Poland.
Oh my.
And that energy, because there was Fantasia and there was Disney did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And then there's that element of darkness in The Wizard of Oz, the movie. The tornado is frightening. The witches' minions marched like Hitler's soldiers. And it was frightening, but what really frightened me were the flying monkeys.
Oh,
and there's a photograph of John and I watching it. We saw it I was 6, so I was born in 40. So in about 49, it was released in New York to the families of the people around the film. John and I went to see it, and there's a picture of me in shock with my mouth open, and my brother looking at like a nervous wreck. And it's when the monkeys fly and take Dorothy to the castle and capture Dorothy.
Yeah, the monkeys, indeed, along with Margaret Hamilton playing the witch, I guess.
Yes, she was pretty scary too. There's an extraordinary moment that in the movie that you all, when you watch it again, everyone should try to see if they can find it. Michael Hearn, who's a scholar, who wrote the annotated Wizard of Oz, told me about it, and it's true. In the scene where the lion pops out and Dorothy is with the scarecrow, and the lion shows itself, and Dorothy slaps it, and then Dad starts to cry. And she has Toto in her hand. Now, she started to laugh, and the director got very angry at you. Must not laugh. You can't laugh. but she always laughed. And in the real movie, she picks Toto up and puts Toto in front of her mouth
Uh,
because she's laughing. And you can see it. It's a second. I had never seen it, but Michael Hearn showed it to me when in a movie theater when we were watching the film together.
the makeup, I mean, I hear, what, a couple of hours of makeup work each
Yes, they
time?
all had it. The Tin Man and in fact, Buddy Ebsen, who was to play the Scarecrow, the Tin Man originally, was poisoned by the mercury
Oh
in
my.
the makeup, and then he lost the part, and then they cast uh, Ray Bolger was the Scarecrow. They cast Jack Haley as the Tin Man,
Uh,
and he was divine. But one of the things for me, and this that remains, Dad had an extraordinary career, and you may touch on it, certainly in the theater, different parts, playing Feydeau, playing Shakespeare, playing Beckett.
uh-huh.
But everyone, everyone recognizes the Lion.
Oh, sure, sure, indeed. That's, I mean, that's one of the greatest. Yeah, it's like everyone.
And for me, and they're always, when they figure out I'm his daughter, there's such joy coming from the audience, from the people that greet me. And I have great compassion for Margaret Hamilton's family because she played the Wicked Witch of the
Oh my,
West.
yes.
And I don't think people greet her in quite the same way, or her family, but she was also brilliant. She was a brilliant witch.
Your dad was a good character. She was a scary character, and a lot of kids, my gosh.
Oh,
Like you said, the
absolutely.
flying monkeys, and here's the witch right there, right in front of them, you know.
That's right. But she was a lovely person and an educator. And her son had a newspaper, and she has a wonderful family.
I'm sure, like when you were going out, I mean, when you were a child, and everybody's recognizing your dad, and I'm sure did they ever ask him for like imitations or sing King of the Forest or anything like that?
Oh, sure. Ask him for everything.
Uh,
Ask him for autographs too. Yes.
that
But
is something.
my father was very shy. Actually, he was typecast in a way for The Cowardly Lion because Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg wrote the score. They knew him from theater in New York, from the George White Scandals. They had written for him before, and so they knew who he was. Off stage, my father was a man of very few words, and he was very shy. On stage, he was a force of nature and humor and laughter and joy, but he was very shy. And so but people will ask him for things. He always signed an autograph. He was very polite and kind, but he was not Mr. Show Business off stage.
Someone at his gravesite left a lion sitting there, and that, folks come by with gifts like that, I guess.
There was this sweet little lion that a little boy
Oh my.
put down when he saw the grave. His mother said, I'm sure it's the lion's grave, and he put his lion there, or wanted to. And so we cleaned it up. I planted some plants, and we love that little lion, and we put it stage center. And I hope it's still there now. I'm sure it is.
Well, and now tell us about, okay, first of all, we're talking about the books that you got. Certainly, there's Notes on a Cowardly Lion. That was done
Yes,
by your
that's
brother.
Johnny's. And I have it here on my desk because I love it. And this is it. And it's a fabulous biography that is on, and you can get it in better bookstores or Amazon or wherever you get books. It is a wonderful read. Knopf published it. It has never been out of print. And it's Johnny is a very gifted writer. And it tells his whole story from his childhood until he died.
Also, you've got The Art of Oz, right?
Yes, I had never done anything to honor my father. And I was at a wonderful Oz festival, and a young man by the name of Gabriel Gale had reimagined all the creatures in the original Baum books. He redrew them, and he showed you how they moved and what their bones were like and how they looked. And I was blown away. And I knew it would make a great visual book. And so I took it to Rizzoli's and they bought it and it came out and it's done very well. And that's another book that you can get at better bookstores or on Amazon or wherever you get your books.
Now, so obviously the Wizard of Oz stands out, but you mentioned about the Tony Award winner. I guess it was what was the name of the Tony?
Foxy. It
Foxy,
was
yes.
for a musical of called Foxy, which was the story of about greed, and it's really taken from Volpone, an Italian story, and it was a musical, and he was wonderful in it, and it was indeed his last show on Broadway before he died. He died making. Last night they raided Minsky's.
Okay.
He got sick on the set with a cold. He went to the hospital, and he died in 3 days, and that was it. It was out. Yeah.
That's sad. One thing to ask you, I mean, I noticed that he was on What's My Line also, when you said about, do you know, not to bring up anything bad about the Wizard of Oz, but they used asbestos as a snow, right?
The lights were so intense then, and they were in these very hot costumes. No, it was pretty tough making this movie, and but remember, it is one of the for me when I was young, the magic of it going from black and white into color was so magical. Now we take color for granted. But then, there were colorful cartoons, but there weren't that many color movies in 38.
It has been a pleasure to have you here on my show.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure. I'm delighted to be on your show.